Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. Good to have you in on a Friday or a Tuesday. Sorry, as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today?
Very good. Looking forward to the show here. We got some good topics today.
We do got some good topics today. We're talking Eagles, Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs. We're bringing back what went wrong, what went right. We got a bunch planned for today. But let's jump into that first topic, which is indeed the Cowboys and the Eagles. So the Cowboys took revenge on the Eagles after the defeat earlier this year. Decided, you know what, let's step it up. And let's beat them this time. Beat them by 20 in a 33-13 win. Dak Prescott said in a post-game interview that if he played a little bit better, they could have probably put up 50 on this Eagles team. Now, we've seen so far this season, the Eagles defense can get got, and it has got so far this season compared to last season when they were going for the sack record, all-time sack record, even in the playoffs. This season has not been the case. So I want to know, what do you think of this game, and do you think the Cowboys are officially true Super Bowl contenders?
I think they are Super Bowl contenders, but I don't think they'll get there because they can't. I don't think they'll beat San Francisco, who they're destined to play probably in the playoffs, probably in the NFC Championship game. I think they're good enough to get to that game, but I don't think they can. I think the 49ers will be there, and I don't think the Cowboys can beat them, given what happened in the previous game with the 49ers this year, right? The Cowboys lost to them like 42-10 or something like that.
42-19.
42-19. It's pretty bad. So they definitely look good against the Eagles. They look great against the Eagles. In fact, I think the Eagles were never really in the game, it seemed like. It seemed like the Eagles were, as we said last week, the Eagles have been through a lot in the last 4 or 5 weeks. They played a lot of very tough teams. They managed to win those games, but they got beat by the Bills, and then now they've been beat by the Cowboys. So they've lost 2 in a row. I think Jalen Hurts' prospects for winning the MVP, which we had him number 1 here not long ago, have faded now, and it looks like Dak is the number 1 favorite based on what I've been reading.
Yeah, no, Dak Prescott did take the lead for MVP. And by the way, this Eagles team lost. I have it right here. So the Giants, I was mistaken. The Giants lost 42-10 to the San Francisco 49ers, and the Eagles this season lost. It was 42-19. That's the 42-19 loss that I was talking about. I would say, well, first of all, I thought this game would be close. And it actually it was going the way I expected it to, where the Cowboys would get to a 24-10 lead, and then the Eagles would claw their way back in the second half, like they have done several times over. And I brought up the stat before about their about their defense, the Eagles' defense, and I have a couple more numbers here, but the numbers keep falling. These are the new numbers now. Opponent points per game, they're 28th in the league. Opponent pass rush, passing yards per game, 28th in the league. Opponent touchdown to interception ratio, 31st in the league. Opponent third down percentage, dead last. Opponent red zone percentage is 30th, and opposing passing percentage is 29th. These are not good numbers whatsoever. And we have Dak Prescott, who's sort of clowning them, saying, we could have put up 50 against your defense. It didn't matter to them whatsoever. I was seriously impressed, and I think with this performance, it answers a couple questions. We were wondering whether or not the Seattle game was just a fluke on if they could actually beat a team that's over 500. And this kind of showed that, yeah, they can, and they can win in very, very convincing fashion. Now, I think another part of this, and by the way, I do think that with the way the Cowboys are playing now, they are true Super Bowl contenders. And you bring up, do you think that if they run into the 49ers, that the 49ers would beat them? I'm not entirely sure about that now. I completely understand how great the 49ers are. I mean, I had them as my number 1 team, and rightfully so. I keep harking about how you could look anywhere. You could basically throw a dart in a dark room, and you're going to hit either an all-pro, a Pro Bowler, or a future Hall of Famer. The team has literally no misses besides maybe kicker. That's the only miss that they have.
That could be important in the playoffs.
It can be. However, I will say this. And it's been told to us, and we were getting, because you have Brock Purdy as the MVP, I was getting ripped on this consistently. They don't have a great offensive line besides Trent Williams, and that is true. They have I think they're 21st in the league in pass blocking, However, they're third in run blocking. That's because they have Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell in the backfield. But
Christian McCaffrey, wow. This past week, wow. First play of the game, a 76-yard run.
It was incredible. I don't know my fantasy team. It was perfect. But I will say this. I think Micah Parsons has generated the most pressures in the entire league. If the 49ers and the Cowboys play in either the divisional or probably the NFC Championship game, keep Micah Parsons on what would be, if you're facing the offensive line, on the left side, or if you're facing it from a quarterback perspective, keep him on the right. Because you don't want him to line up next to Trent Williams, who's your left tackle. You don't want them to go one-on-one, because even though Micah Parsons is phenomenal, Trent Williams will beat him time and time again. So for me, I think this Cowboys team is very good. I think the way they're playing now, Brandon Cook seems like he's getting a little bit of, his old self again, his old his old quick self. You have Stephon Gilmore, who's being a lockdown defender. Deron Bland, now he's had a couple downs and slips here and there, but still, he broke the NFL record for pick sixes. I mean, the defense is pretty good so far. Micah Parsons on the D-line. The offensive line is getting healthy. It's a little old. It's a little old, but they're healthy. They're a pretty good offensive line. Now, the running game for the Cowboys is where I have a little bit of question. Tony Pollard, your feature back.
It was pretty good on Sunday.
I don't love that. It was pretty good because I just think that this Eagles defense is absolutely abysmal. And I think we could say that now. It's weird.
They've been exposed.
Absolutely. Going from last season to this season, where the Eagles had one of the best defenses, and they were going for the all-time sack record, into this year, where they're not as good. They're getting cooked on every level. Every single level. Now, is that because Jonathan Gannon's gone? They're DC from last year? I have no idea, because guess what? He's right now on the Cardinals, and the Cardinals don't look that great. But what I do know is that this Eagles team, and Jalen Hurts, he's still banged up. He's not 100% healthy. I said, if the Eagles could somehow pull out a win against San Francisco and the Cowboys, hands down, they would rest probably, or they would take out their starters if they're up by 10 maybe for the last 4 games. Now you can't do that because the number 1 seed right now is in the hands of the 49ers. Now the Eagles aren't even first place in the NFC East. They're behind the Cowboys now. So now Jalen Hurts, he's not 100% healthy. This defense is already getting cooked. The offensive line also for the Eagles has not held up very well. In the past few weeks, I understand they've been playing pretty good defense like the 49ers, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys. They haven't been able to hold up against anybody whatsoever. Jalen Hurts, I think, got pressured on 60% of his dropbacks.
Well, it's amazing how quickly things change.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, I was saying the Eagles are the best team in the NFL.
Right.
And now I don't think so. I think I agree with you, the 49ers are the best team. And I don't even think maybe the Eagles are the second best team now. I think maybe either the Ravens or maybe the Cowboys are the second best team.
The NFL, not just the NFC.
The NFL, okay. Yeah, the NFL.
I don't know if it's the Ravens because I had a phenomenal game against the Rams, and we're going to mention that a little bit later. I don't love the fact Mark Andrews is a very integral part of that offense, and he's gone, yet they still put up 37.
I know. So that's the thing. I mean, they're still winning without him.
Right. Another thing I got to mention, this Eagles offense didn't score a touchdown in the entire game. The only touchdown they got was on a Dak Prescott fumble. So this offense for the Eagles got shut down by this Dallas defense. I'm a little bit worried. Now, I said I wasn't going to sell all my stock at the end of that 49ers loss because I just said they were up against the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Commanders who have played them very, very close, and they also played the Dolphins. Now, they won a majority of those games. They won every single one of those games, but at some point they're going to hit a wall. I think we're seeing a little bit of a wall right now. Now, the next game is at Seattle on Monday Night Football. They have a little bit of rest now. I don't know if they'll go back to a great team again. I think they'll look better because you're playing the Seahawks. And depending on if Geno Smith can get healthy or not, they may have Drew Lock as their quarterback. We'll need to wait and see. But I really think it's going to be very, very difficult for this Eagles team to bounce back, especially with the defense being so poor. I mean, if you think about it, Mac Jones tore up this defense. He had over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was the first time in Mac Jones' entire career he had a 300-yard passing game that went with 3 touchdowns.
That was the first game of the season.
And if I'm not mistaken, let me just look. Yeah, he's not even starting anymore.
Yeah.
He's benched for Bailey Zappi.
It's amazing how much things can change.
It's insane. So I'm a little bit nervous for this Eagles team. I would have hoped they can make it back, but I just think that it's not looking too good.
I think you're right. I think the Eagles' defense has been exposed. I don't think any team fears their defense. I think that they've lost 2 in a row now. They are no longer in first place in the NFC East. The Cowboys are looking great. Their defense is very tough. It will look great on Sunday. And Dak Prescott is an MVP favorite. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle for the Eagles now.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into our next topic. We got to talk about the other big game on Sunday, and that is the Chiefs and the Bills. The Bills are able to get a pretty decent win, 20-17, keep their playoff hopes alive, and really try to go out and win, especially with the Dolphins falling to the Titans last night. Try to win that AFC East once again. Mahomes was infuriated over an offensive offsides by Kadarius Toney. We're going to show the play now, where Mahomes, it was a beautifully, I don't know if this was drawn or not, throws it to Travis Kelce, who tries to make a play on it, realizes he can't get to the end zone, and flips it to Kadarius Toney, who runs it in for the touchdown. However, there was a flag on the play because of the fact that Kadarius Toney was blocking the ball. He was ahead of the ball and was offsides. Mahomes was very upset about it. Post-game, he was saying that you can't take a play like that away, making excuses, and then he actually retracted his statement today and apologized for it. There's a lot going on. I want to know, do you think that, first of all, I'm going to ask, did they make the right call? Do you agree with the call? Do you think the Chiefs should be upset about it? And is it time to hit the panic button right now in Kansas City?
Unfortunately, I do think the refs made the right call. I love the play, man. What a play. That was a fabulous play. I mean, Travis Kelce, catching the ball, and he was open, catching the ball, running, and seeing that he was going to be tackled, throwing it to Toney like that. Do you think it was set up that way, that was a plan? I don't think so. I think that was ad lib after he caught it. There was no plan to throw it to Toney. But look, it's fantastic. Perfect throw. Runs right in for a touchdown. Right? Fabulous play. I was amazed by it. And given that it was, late in the game, they needed that score. Wasn't much time left. It was really a clutch play. I guess if anybody, they should be mad at anybody, it's Kadarius Toney. What the hell is he doing? It was the right call. He was offsides. His foot was over the line. Doesn't he know better than that? Come on. I got to believe they were very upset with him for making that kind of a mistake. That is something that's a fundamental thing. You don't line up offsides, right?
Well, they benched him after that. He just stayed on the sideline the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Do you think that they have a right to be frustrated? Do you think Mahomes has a right to lash out like that at the referee?
No.
Because I think, I don't know what you thought, but when he was screaming, I thought it was directed to Toney.
Oh, no.
And then the broadcast goes, he's yelling at the ref.
Yeah, he was looking out onto the field when he was yelling, so I was pretty sure it didn't have anything to do with Toney, but that's who he should have been yelling at.
Absolutely. But you can't, it's a respect thing. You can't show up your teammate like that on the field.
After the game, in the locker room.
Yeah, right, in the locker room. But this is, I don't love this look for Mahomes, right? Because even in adversity, we saw last week, or I'm sorry, the week before, if we're talking that this is last week already, the week before against the Packers, the obvious defensive pass interference that wasn't called. Mahomes was like, all right, let's run it back, let's go. He could have done the same thing. But because this is a play that basically never gets called in the NFL, you never hear offensive offsides. You never hear it. And then to go up to Josh Allen in the handshake and say, offensive offsides, what is that? Like, come on. And he also apologized, said that Josh Allen had nothing to do with it. So, but he let his emotions get the best of him. I've never seen Mahomes like that. And it shows that he's fed up.
Well, he's getting frustrated because his wide receivers have let him down on a regular basis.
Right.
Regular basis. We've talked about this on prior shows, that the main weakness of the Chiefs are the wide receivers.
Right.
They drop the balls. They make stupid mental mistakes. They just are not there for him. And given some of the receivers he's had in the past, and how successful he's been with them, I can see why he's upset and frustrated.
But here's where I think Mahomes. I think this year, because he had Juju last year, was a veteran receiver, had over 1,000 yards last season. And by the way, he was the receiver who got held by Bradbury in the Super Bowl. You don't hear him complaining about how the refs decided that game, right? He only keeps his mouth shut. It seems like when it favors him. Now last week, that was obvious. I'll give him that. He kept his mouth shut with that. I'll give him that. To not call out the refs. But at some point, right, I understand and I fully get it and I agree with it. Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen and probably the best one we've seen since Brady, right? He's the next Tom Brady, basically. He's the face of the league.
The game is a lot different than Brady's, but yeah,
right.
The same talent.
Same caliber, I would say. The dominance
and
over the league.
Smarts, too. I mean, he's quite smart. He makes the right calls and he throws. His accuracy on the run is very, very good.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking now, and I know people will disagree with me, this year would be an example of how he separates himself and puts himself into a caliber of unquestionable, untouchable great quarterbacks. Because what Brady did over his career, right, and that's the comparison everyone gives, it's the next Tom Brady, because he has been so dominant. Brady took guys that either no team wanted, no one heard of, or undrafted players and made them champions. This would be a type of a year where Mahomes would be a part of that. He would be right there with Brady to take players like Kadarius Toney, like Rashee Rice, like Sky Moore, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and take them into a deep playoff run. I don't know if a lot of people would agree with me. I don't feel that way with this team.
No, I don't now. They've been losing games. They've lost 4 of their last 6.
It's bad. It really is bad. And I think it is time to hit the panic button right now. Because I can't believe I'm saying this. The surging Broncos. The Broncos are like 1 game behind the Chiefs right now. And I have the Chiefs schedule right now. The next game's at Patriots. The Patriots defense has been incredible so far.
If the Patriots beat the Chiefs, that would be something, huh?
I think,
given their season this year and their ups and downs, and with Bailey Zappi now as their starting quarterback, that will be a surprise, I think, if the Chiefs beat the Patriots. But it'll be an interesting game, I think.
I think there are 2 definite wins and 2 interesting games. The Patriots and I think Bengals will be interesting. Jake Browning, I don't understand how the hell he's throwing for 350 yards a game.
He got hurt, right?
In
the game. I thought he got hurt in that game, right?
Yeah. They had to put in AJ McCarron, but I think he's going to be fine. I think the 2 definite wins are the Raiders and the Chargers. Easton Stick is not going to beat Patrick Mahomes, even if, the Chiefs are sliding. I think the Patriots, only with the defense. The offense, I still don't like. I don't want them to be good because I want to get a new quarterback.
Yeah.
And then Jake Browning shocks me. We talked about it. We thought the Bengals were done.
Yeah, well,
Jake Browning's keeping them alive.
Well, you know what? Jake Browning may not be that great, but he's got great pieces around him.
Right, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, yeah.
So, yeah, I say the Chiefs, they should win out, right? They should win out with that schedule.
Especially with that quarterback.
That's right, and Joe Burrow out, right? They should win out. If they don't, I'd say there's a pretty good chance they don't win out. And if they don't, I think there's the panic button is there because they could miss the playoffs.
I don't know about missing the playoffs would be shocking. Although
they won 8 games, right?
Right. So if they lose out,
so let's look at the schedule again.
Sure.
So the Patriots won last week. So, maybe there's
Bailey Zappi threw 3 touchdowns.
They threw 3 touchdowns. They didn't do squat in the second half.
Right.
So, and the Chiefs have probably, their defense is pretty good. So I'd say probably the Chiefs win that game.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that the Chiefs win the Raiders game.
Raiders, yeah.
Right? The Bengals game they should win because Joe Burrow is not in there. And Browning is, nobody has the sample size on him is very small. And then the Chargers, Justin Herbert's done for the year. So I would say they should win out. If they win out, they're all set.
12.
Now maybe they could win. Maybe they could lose to the Patriots. Maybe they could lose to the Bengals. So if they go 2-2, then they'll be 10-7. And the record of the. So what's the Broncos' remaining schedule?
So the Broncos right now are 7-6. Their remaining schedule so far is at Lions. The Lions are slipping. Yep. Home against the Patriots. That should be interesting to watch. Home against the Chargers, at Raiders. So I think those last two games are wins. They should. You think at Lions that they're going to lose? The Lions lost. I'm
gonna. You know what? I'm not picking the Lions anymore.
You're done with them.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what their schedule is. I mean, if they're playing, I don't know. If they were playing one of the southeastern teams there, or the Panthers, or the Falcons, or the Bucs, or the Saints, I might pick them. But other than that, I'd probably pick against them because I don't trust them. And I've said that repeatedly. And every time I pick them, I get burned.
Yeah. Well, they're home against the Broncos, at Vikings, at Cowboys, home against the Vikings. So 2 Vikings, and Josh Dobbs got benched today. Nick Mullins will be the quarterback moving forward. At Cowboys is probably a loss now. Yeah. Bronco, I don't know. It should be interesting, but I got to give credit to the Bills here. Josh Allen was really good. I think Josh Allen was very, very good. And the defense of the Chiefs, I mentioned it in the show, early in the show, was it last Friday? I said that this defense, while the total defense is high, the grades that PFF gave are pretty low. They show some weaknesses. Lo and behold, Josh Allen was wheeling and dealing on this defense early, scoring big. Mahomes had a bad tipped interception early in the game. The Bills went down and scored. So I really feel like this Bills team could be getting back on track, and not only that, Josh Allen was under pressure for 47% of his snaps. Yeah. The offensive line couldn't hold up, and he was still making plays. Mm-hmm. There was one play that I didn't like. It was late in the game. It's the reason they kicked the field goal. I don't know if you remember it, is that he got pressured. He tried to dump it off. Gabe Davis was about a half second away from breaking free and getting another touchdown. They showed it very, very briefly, but he got pressured. He needed to look to his check down. Yeah. Instead of keeping his eyes downfield, maybe taking a hit, but trying to deliver a throw.
That was a big win for the Bills. That's massive. For sure, right? Beating the Chiefs. I do think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs.
I do as well.
And maybe it is premature to push the panic. Maybe they push the panic button about where their seeding is going to be. Because they keep dropping in the seeding.
They could play. Yeah, if they can win out, his first road playoff game.
If they can win out, then they're all set, and they should be able to win out.
They should, because they have Mahomes at quarterback.
I mean, they won the Super Bowl last year,
right?
And their problem is the wide receivers.
Right.
I think that's the whole deal. And those guys, I don't know what their problem is. They can't hang on to the ball. They make stupid mental errors.
Yeah.
And it's obviously getting to Mahomes. You could see the frustration boiled over in Sunday's game. He did apologize for it, so that's good for him and appreciated by the fans and the refs and everybody else. But I can understand why he got frustrated.
I mean, it's really an unfortunate loss.
That was such a great play, man.
It was a phenomenal
fantastic play.
It's phenomenal.
I mean, that would be, if that wasn't for that penalty, that would be one of the highlight plays of the year.
That probably would be the play of the year. But there's one thing that bothers me about what Mahomes said in his post-game conference. He said, you can't take away that play from that type of player.
That doesn't make sense. Come on.
It's the NFL.
If there's a penalty, it's obvious. You got to call it.
Right.
You can't say that that means, what do? They go back to review and say, well,
I mean, this isn't even close.
Travis Kelce is going to be a Hall of Famer, so let's forget the offside penalty on Kadarius Toney.
Right.
That makes no sense.
And another thing is, normally wide receivers, if they're close, they would check over to the ref and be like, thumbs up, and then the ref would say, okay, you're good, or back up. Kadarius Toney never did. Andy Reid said that himself. He looked at what happened and said, Kadarius Toney never checked to the ref whether or not he was good or not. I mean, it isn't even close. It really isn't.
They
even
say
that
sometimes
close.
The refs tell them that they have a problem.
But
why would the refs do that? I mean, I don't think they should do that.
Courtesy. I don't have a problem with that. But the fact that Kadarius Toney's not the wide out receiver. If he was right next to the ref and he was over, I'm sure the ref would say something. But Kadarius Toney didn't even check. He didn't even look. Am I good? Nothing like that. He just stared to the right and said, "Okay, snap the ball."
There was a ref out to the right, looking right down the line there.
Yeah, but you're not going to check over at 75% of the field just to get a thumbs up. Normally, you do it to the side you're closest to, but he's not really close to the ref. So that's on Kadarius Toney. He did make a good play, ready for the ball. And Andy Reid was asked that in the postgame. Was that a scripted play?
And what did he say?
He didn't answer it because he was frustrated.
Oh, he didn't answer it?
He didn't answer it. So the question is, will we see that again later on? Maybe, maybe not. But
very nice play.
It was unfortunate that it got, it got taken back, but that's the one thing that's probably the main thing that bothered me. Mahomes saying, you can't take a play away from that guy, from that Hall of Fame tight end. This is the NFL. It doesn't matter what kind of player you are or what your career has been. Yeah, you might get a call here or there in favor of you if it's, a wide receiver. They may get a couple pass interference calls that maybe they don't deserve, but they have a reputation. But to say that you're just not going to throw a flag because of the fact that Travis Kelce's on the field, and by the way, that flag was thrown before the play even was developing. So it could have been the worst play in history. It was just so happened that was the outcome that soured Mahomes' grapes, I think. So, the Chiefs not looking too good right now. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see if they could bounce back. It's going to be a pretty difficult ride, though, going up against a Patriots defense that currently, at this current moment, is 8th in total defense. And they try to get the run game going with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know if Pacheco will be back. The Patriots do have the third best rushing defense in the NFL. So it'll be up to Mahomes to sling it around. Will J.C. Jackson and Miles Bryant get cooked? I'm sure we'll talk about it Friday.
Probably. And one thing, the Patriots are not very good against the mobile quarterback. Yeah. They've had a lot of trouble against the mobile quarterback. Have they ever beaten Mahomes?
Yeah, the AFC Championship game, 2018.
Well, that was way back.
And,
since have they even played him since then, or is that the last time?
Since Brady left, no.
Yeah. So this is the first time?
Well, I don't know if it's the first time they played, but it's the first time, or they haven't beaten him, I should say, since Brady left. Brady beat him in a regular season game. They had I forgot someone stepped out of bounds. I don't know if you remember that game. It may have been N'Keal Harry. I think it was Jacoby Myers. They called him out of bounds and he scored, but he didn't actually step out of bounds. But they called him out of bounds. I think they lost 23-16.
I remember that game.
Yeah, we were watching that game. So I think that might have been one of the last times they played. But recent memory, I'm not entirely sure. But no, since Brady left, the Patriots have not been able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Will Zappe be able to do it? We'll talk about it Friday.
I'll be watching. I've watched every game. It's been painful, but it's for most of them, and it's been a very hard season for our Patriots fans. But I'm a dedicated Patriots fan, so I will be watching.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it Friday, I'm sure. But we're going to take a break right now. But coming up, we're bringing back what went wrong, what went right. We'll talk Ravens, Rams. Will Levis, phenomenal comeback last night against the Miami Dolphins. Also, we're talking about it again. Dak Prescott leads MVP, but who really deserves it? We'll talk about that right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. Good to have you in on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show. So we're going to start with what went wrong, what went right. Let's jump right into it with first,
What went right?
So we both picked the Ravens to beat the Rams, but what I didn't expect to happen is that they have a punt return touchdown in overtime to win the game. Lamar Jackson, by the way, both these quarterbacks had really, really great games. Lamar Jackson played very, very well. 386 total yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Along with Stafford, nearly had 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. What was your reaction to this game overall? We picked it right. We actually picked it 100% correct. What was your reaction to this game?
Very exciting game. I was watching that game. Wow. It was very, very good. The Rams, quite impressive, actually, playing toe-to-toe with the Ravens, who are 10-game winners now. So I was impressed. I think that the Rams coach, McVay, he was angry. He was angry at the end of that game, right? He expected to win that game.
Yeah.
And they had some good chances to win it, but they couldn't do it. I like the Rams to get back in the getting into the playoff race here. I think they can pass the Seahawks now. The Seahawks are fading a little bit. Geno Smith has been hurt. Drew Lock is not the same quarterback as Geno Smith. And I do think that I'm not sure what the Rams' remaining schedule is, but I think they look pretty good. I mean, if they can play like that against the Ravens, most teams are going to play the rest of the way are going to be not that caliber of team. So if they play the cards right, they might sneak into the playoffs.
I would say, well, I don't know what you think of this, but I think they have at least one very, very difficult team. So the remaining schedule is home against the Commanders, home against the Saints, at Giants, at Niners. Tommy DeVito has won 3 straight games.
He looked great. He looked great last night.
He looked phenomenal. I couldn't believe what I was watching. So
he may be their quarterback going forward, huh? I mean, if he wins out, let's say they win out,
they make the playoffs. They're
really, if they win out, they could make the playoffs.
They're 1 game out of the playoffs right now. They have an opportunity to make the playoffs. So
wow.
Tommy DeVito might get them back to the promised land. Who knows? But unfortunately, we're not always 100%. So
what went wrong?
Not good. Not good at all. We picked the Dolphins to win, and somehow Will Levis reeled and dealed late, about 5 or so minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. He was down 14 points and somehow came out with a major W. I mean, the Titans were begging to lose this game. Muff punch, just bad play, a pick 6. I mean, this was bad all around. Will Levis, though, 327 yards and a touchdown. We did see something that we haven't seen that would basically answer, I think, a lot of questions. Tyreek Hill got hurt in the first quarter. That offense for the Dolphins never looked the same. Tua Tagovailoa looked lost, looked confused. He did not look as great. Tyreek Hill, by the way, his MVP odds, they jumped higher than Tua's right now. I think people are starting to acknowledge a little bit the value of Tyreek Hill, especially with last night's performance. What was your reaction to the Titans and Dolphins game?
Very surprised. I didn't think that the Titans had it in them to beat the Dolphins, particularly the Dolphins offense, right? But you're right. Without Tyreek Hill, they look lost. And Tyreek Hill, I don't know, how bad is his injury? Is there anything about that?
He tried to go. He tried to make an effort to play. He was bandaged up pretty heavily. Then he came out. He wasn't bandaged that much. I don't know. I'm going to assume Tyreek Hill will be good to go next week, but I haven't heard any confirmation yet. I think what also is impressive is we always talked about, especially from the beginning, we saw Will Levis really works with play action. If the running game's going, Will Levis is most likely going to be efficient. In this game, they had under 3 yards a carry. So this was a game where they couldn't run the ball very effectively. Derrick Henry, 2 yards a carry. 17 carries, terrible. 34 yards, and yet Will Levis still was able to come out with the win. That's impressive. A lot of people were questioning whether or not Will Levis could be the future for the Titans, and I think this is definitely a sign that Will Levis has got something. It definitely is not Mahomes. It might be. Who knows? We don't know exactly what Will Levis' ceiling is, but he was making some phenomenal deep throws. DeAndre Hopkins, 7 catches, 124 yards and a touchdown. He looks like the old D-Hop that we expected to come back. So I was very, very impressed. However, we did think, though, the Dolphins would take care of business and cover a 13-point spread, and unfortunately that's not the case, and the Titans pulled out a late-game win. 14-point comeback in 5 minutes. It's
very good. I think Will Levis, he was billed as potentially a first-round pick. He went the first pick in the second round.
Yeah.
He also, one of the knocks on him was he didn't throw a very accurate ball. Well, I don't know where that came.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from.
He played in Kentucky.
Yeah,
so
well, maybe.
Kentucky doesn't have the best receivers always.
Maybe.
So, yeah.
So, he throws a great deep ball.
Yeah.
Very good deep ball. I've watched his. He has a really nice touch. He's got a very strong arm, and he's very accurate with the deep ball. So, I think the Titans have made the right decision to let him start and bench Ryan Tannehill, and because it looks like Will Levis could be the future for them.
Well, let's go with something that I mentioned in the show. My pick was wrong. However,
what went right?
I was smart to say this. This was Friday's clip when making my picks. This is what I said on Friday's show about the Jets and the Texans. I do not feel good about this game, but I am picking the Texans to cover and beat the New York Jets. Zach Wilson is like the boxer who got knocked down 4 times. You're in like the 10th round of a 12th round match, and Zach Wilson literally, you're not going to win the fight. You're just not going to win. So you're swinging for the fences. Basically, you're taking shots you normally wouldn't have. And I think right now, Zach Wilson, he's probably not going to be the future quarterback of the New York Jets. I think he's basically done in New York. He literally has nothing to lose. So he's going to go out there and sling the hell out of the ball. And that's why I'm a little bit nervous. Now, it was a healthy nervousness because what did Zach Wilson do?
You were exactly right.
Maybe the best game I've ever seen from Zach Wilson. The guy was absolutely incredible. He had the highest completion percentage. I have it down here in the lower third. The highest completion percentage of his career. The highest passer rating of his entire career. I think it's the 3rd most yards he's had in his career. He had 2 touchdowns, no picks. Looked great. And I'll also say this. The offensive line that he was questioning, it looked pretty good. He didn't look fazed by it. The defense shut down C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud got hurt. I believe he had a concussion, or he was in concussion protocol, so he was out for the game. But Zach Wilson played absolutely incredible. What did you think of Zach Wilson's performance and overall the Jets win over the Texans?
I was surprised. I picked the Texans as well. It's interesting that Zach Wilson, who some people say there was rumors that he didn't really want to start.
That was the report.
They asked him. He said, "I'm not so sure I want to be the starter," which I don't know whether that's true or not. If it is, that's really bad on Zach Wilson. I don't think. And as Salah came out and was maybe he was covering for him, but he said, "You know what? If he said something like that, he wouldn't be here." So I'm not sure what really happened behind the scenes there, but he was smart to say, "Yeah, I do want the ball and come in and play," because he had a great game. He really looked good.
Yeah.
He had one fumble though.
Yeah.
Right, he lost a fumble, and that was beginning to look like. I mean, the game was still pretty close at that point, and it was beginning to look like, it's another Zach, mental boo boo that is going to cost us the game. But it didn't. He came back, and they scored some more points after that. His passing looked really good, and he didn't throw any interceptions. He seemed to make most of the right decisions, and they let him throw the ball a lot. Yeah. I mean, they do have a decent running game. I'm surprised they let him throw the ball a lot.
36 times.
36 times.
I think that might also be the 3rd most in his career.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing a bunch of near career highs.
Yeah, but I do think you're right. He said the heck with it. I don't care what anyone says, what they think. I'm probably not going to be here next year. I'm just going to let it fly. Yeah. And that was the best thing that could happen for him. It worked out very well.
I had a reason to have skepticism, and I still went with the Texans. There was something weird. That point spread was -7 when they had Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian, and as soon as Zach Wilson came in, that came down 4 points to -3 for the Texans. Started -7, came to -3. That was an indication. Zach Wilson had nothing to lose. He's going to sling the ball. Garrett Wilson had a phenomenal game, 9 catches, 108 yards. Props to Zach Wilson. We were wrong, at least for the time being, on his career. But then again, it could.
What's their record now?
He has nothing to lose. They are currently 5-8.
So they still have a chance.
Very, very small, but technically they are not eliminated. I believe the Patriots and the Panthers are the only teams eliminated from the playoffs so far. So there you go. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but the Patriots are eliminated. Let's get into.
So wait, what are the Jets? Who do they have left?
So the Jets' remaining schedule is they are at Miami next week, or this upcoming week, then home against the Commanders, at Browns, at Patriots.
So
do the Patriots continue their, it would be 15 straight games? No, sorry, 16 straight games. 8 straight years of dominance.
The chances are the Jets will be out of it, and so will the Patriots. That last game will just be for pride. So I like maybe the Patriots' chances in that game. Zach Wilson can't do anything against Bill Belichick.
Right.
He's had no luck at all.
Right.
In fact, most of the games where they said, throw Zach out of here is after he throws 2 or 3 interceptions against Bill Belichick's teams.
Yeah.
So I don't see the Jets making the playoffs. I really don't.
We could.
They have the
Aaron
Commanders.
Rodgers.
They have the Commanders this week.
At Dolphins.
Oh, at Dolphins. Now, that one's going to be really hard for them because the Dolphins are surprise losers to the Titans, right?
Yep.
So the Dolphins are going to be on their A game.
Good teams that get embarrassed by inferior teams come back strong that following week. I like the Dolphins this week.
Yeah. And then they play the Commanders after that.
Then home
They have
against
a
the Commanders.
decent chance again in that game, right? And then
At Browns, at Patriots, 2 really good defenses.
at Browns.
Joe
yeah, the
Flacco's
defense.
slinging it.
Yeah. I think the Browns are a playoff team right now.
They're still
yeah.
a playoff team, yeah.
So maybe Joe Flacco is thinking, wow, I found my new youth here.
He's playing. He's
He
playing
looks
his
old
former
out
team.
there.
Oh yeah, he looks old. He looks really, really old. And finally, this is an embarrassing one.
What went wrong?
I picked the Panthers to completely upset the Saints. It was a +5 point spread or -5 for the Saints. I picked the Panthers +5, and it was ugly. Bryce Young looked horrible. At one point, he was 9 of 28. 9 of 28. That's under 33% completion percentage. The end of the game, 13 of 36, 137 passing yards, a 12.6 quarterback rating. That skill is 0 to 100. The Panthers were 9 of 27 on combined 3rd and 4th downs. They couldn't move the ball. It looked terrible. Number 1 overall pick. I thought he would have something. The Saints were down. Derek Carr was battered and bruised. He decided to play this week, and they put up 28 points against this team. I don't know. This is a bad pick on my part. I was very, very wrong about this. So, there we go. I believe that's what went wrong, what went right. The Harvey Hour edition, Week 14 edition. I'm sure we'll bring that back before the season's over. But one of the most heated topics of the entire football season, especially recently, is the MVP race. Dak Prescott has taken the lead of MVP. Brock Purdy is very, very close. Dak Prescott's +150, while Brock Purdy, by the way, these are FanDuel odds. There's a bunch of different odds you can find everywhere. Brock Purdy's +175. Lamar is in 3rd place at +600. Jalen Hurts has fallen to 4th place with +800. And Josh Allen comes into the top 5 with +1,400 odds. This is going to be a heavy topic, a hard-hitting topic.
Yeah.
I want to know who deserves to be MVP this season.
The Cowboys went out, Dak Prescott gets it. That's my thought. Even if San Francisco wins out, I still think that Dak Prescott will get it. I mean, he's got 3,500 passing yards so far, 270 yards a game, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks. Brock Purdy, a few more passing yards, 35, 50, 25 touchdowns, 7 picks. So I guess probably quarterback rating, Dak's probably got him by a few points. But
ESPN's or passer rating? Which one?
I'm not sure.
Purdy leads, but it's
really
by millimeters.
But did you see the pass that Brock Purdy threw to Debo
in left
on
corner?
Sunday?
It was beautiful.
It was perfect.
It was a perfect pass.
It was a perfect pass. He hit him just right in the hands, right in the breadbasket. Didn't break stride. Perfect pass, Nate.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I
you don't
can't
see
fight
that very often.
I can't fight that.
Perfect.
I can't fight that.
Yeah. So
Are you giving it to Brock Purdy? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that if the Cowboys win out, then I think that Dak gets it. What's their remaining schedule?
Which one?
Cowboys.
The Cowboys. The Cowboys' remaining schedule so far this season is. Let me bring it up real quick. Here we go. So the Cowboys, after defeating the Philadelphia Eagles, they're at Bills, at Dolphins, home against the Lions, at Commanders.
Wow. So chances of winning out. I mean, the Bills kind of. They're at Bills?
Yes, they're at Bills, at Miami, home against the Lions, at Commanders. They whooped the Commanders 45-10. I'll just lay that out. Lions.
I think they win their last 2. I don't know about the next 2.
I think the Bills is the only difficult game, and here's why. Tyreek Hill is banged up and normally coming off the field. Tyreek Hill is banged up or limping or something. Jalen Waddle, he used to be wide receiver 1B to Tyreek Hill last year. That's what at least I consider him as. He's fallen down to a wide receiver too. He's not as efficient or effective. I think the defense is going to get exposed. Dak Prescott's playing out of his mind. But just to answer the question, Do you think Dak right here, right now, not when the season's over, not at the end after week 18, right here, right now, who is your MVP? I'm curious.
Oh, gee, that's hard.
Because before you said it's Purdy on Friday, or I think it was on Friday, you said it was Brock Purdy.
I'm still with Brock Purdy.
You're still with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Well, I have a video clip here. This is Trent Williams talking in a post-game interview about Brock Purdy's performance and how people think he is just a systems quarterback. Take a listen to what Trent Williams had to say.
Turn on film. A lot of people talk and words are what they are, but, actions prove it. Turn on the film, watch this kid, watch him play, watch his command of the offense, watch his decision-making. And then if you say that he's just a system quarterback after that, then I question your football knowledge.
So he's taking a shot at some fans here. You know what? But it could be warranted. I'll say this, though. Trent Williams...
He doesn't agree that Brock Purdy is a systems quarterback.
Right. Here are some comments made by Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to quote it here. So here are the quotes. Trent Williams goes, he's a baller, man. I don't know why that's ever been in question. Just hate to see him get slighted all the time because I feel like he is such a good talent, such a good quarterback. He's the main reason why we are playing so well. Christian McCaffrey with some comments. He's such a talented quarterback. He doesn't get enough credit in my eyes at all. He is a great leader, super smart, can make any throw, and just a great guy to be around. So two very welcoming and warming comments made by Trent Williams.
Two very credible players, too, I would say. Very credible players. So.
However, here's the kicker. They're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo from last year. So a lot of people say Jimmy Garoppolo can't make the big-time throw. Christian McCaffrey said, and I quote, can make any throw. Any throw. Oh, we're just getting started here. We are just getting started here, ladies and gentlemen, because I have more. So Christian McCaffrey showed up about 15 minutes before the Chiefs game. So when he had a legitimate practice with the 49ers last season, so after the Chiefs game, because it was basically just run a normal zone. They were doing basic calls for Christian McCaffrey in that Chiefs game. Now, Jimmy G didn't play horrible. He didn't play great. He didn't play good enough to beat the Chiefs because the Chiefs were so dominant in that game. When Jimmy Garoppolo had a practice, they had 4 games because he got hurt in the Dolphins game, so I'm not counting that. The four full games with Christian McCaffrey, and he was healthy, practice, whatever. This was Jimmy Garoppolo. 72.3 completion percentage, 231.3 yards per game, 7 touchdowns, no picks, a passer rating of 114.3. He was second. By the way, it wasn't all dink and dunk as soon as he got Christian McCaffrey. He was second in completion percentage of 10 to 19 yards in the entire NFL. He was second in completion percentage. Think about this. Yards per attempt. People are crazed about yards per attempt and intended air yards per attempt. Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson. If you want to include Russell Wilson, although he's having a terrible year, you can include him, but it doesn't matter for this argument. They all had fewer yards per attempt in these 4 games than Jimmy Garoppolo did. And these numbers are very, very reminiscent of the way we see Brock Purdy now when everybody is healthy. They are 17-0 when Debo, McCaffrey, Williams, and Purdy are all healthy. That's because this team, and it's not people think it's a rip on Brock Purdy when I say that. It is not a rip on Brock Purdy. It's simply just stating the facts. Let's talk about some of these players, right? And this is not a slight on Purdy. This is raising how great the 49ers are as a team. They are an incredible yards after the catch team. They have 3 players in the top 30. Debo is number 7 in the league, 453 yards. Kittle is 21st at 379. CMC, 359 yards after the catch. That's 1191. That is 33% of Brock Purdy's entire yards this season have come from these 3 players. And that's yards after the catch. Debo is 11th in average depth of target. Kittle, 76th in average depth of target. CMC is 139th in average depth of target. So it's not all.
You're saying Brock Purdy is a dink
I'm
and
not
dunk
saying-
quarterback.
I'm not saying
Are
he's
you
dink
trying
and
to
dunk.
say he's a dink and dunk quarterback?
I'm not saying he's a dink and dunk quarterback.
Look at that pass he made last Sunday to
It was
the left
beautiful.
to Debo.
I already said it was beautiful.
Perfect.
I already said it was beautiful.
Perfect. That was what? How long was that pass? 50 yards? 40 yards? 45 yards? It was a long pass.
I'm sure I'll try to bring it up as fast as I possibly can, but I'm not saying he's a dink and dunk quarterback whatsoever.
Well, then what are you saying, Nate?
What I'm saying is that this 49ers team is so talented. It's so incredibly talented. Deebo Samuel is second in yards after the catch per reception. He gets a first down after he catches the ball. He averages 10.1 yards per catch, or yards after the catch after he catches the football. So he could catch it at the 1 yard line and run it for 11 yards, basically. What I also find interesting is this. If Brock Purdy simply just throws it behind the line of scrimmage, who would lead in yards per attempt? Brock Purdy. So the yards per attempt, that stat, that means nothing to me. Because once again, it doesn't calculate how far you're throwing the ball. It's completions.
You like the depth of target stat.
The depth of target is how far you're targeting a receiver.
Yeah.
And intended yards per attempt or whatever, per complete. There's a bunch of third category stats that you could bring in. I'm not ripping on Brock Purdy. I'm just saying, here's one thing that I think should knock a lot of people's, arguments about Brock Purdy, is the system. We saw 3 straight games. Really, it was 2 if you want to say Jake Moody screwed them over, which he did. Let's say 2 legit games because there was a concussion in Minnesota. He played. There was no real concern about him getting concussed in that game. He didn't say anything. So I had to take that as it was an after the fact. He didn't tell the training staff that he felt weird or whatever. So I had to take him as he went out there and played. It's the same thing if you play hurt and you play poorly. I'm not going to say, oh, he was hurt. No, you decided to play. So in Minnesota and against the Bengals, 2 opportunities when Trent Williams or CMC or Debo were either injured out for the game or banged up. He had an opportunity late in those games to have a come-from-behind win, to lead his team to victory. He came up small each of those times. Late game interceptions, horrible throws, red zone interceptions. He did not look good. This offense went from averaging 35 points a game to averaging 17 in that 3-game skid. It's just because, by the way, I think people get a little bit mixed up here. There's a difference in my mind between game manager and system quarterback. I think there is a difference. Game manager is, you are your system. You can't be better than what the system gives you. You could be worse, and I think that's where Jimmy G falls in line. Jimmy G is a game manager. Tom Brady got called a system quarterback. Tom Brady. So if you're saying system quarterback is an insult, I'm sure it could be an insult in some cases.
I don't agree.
Tom Brady
was
right.
a system
But
quarterback.
until he left Belichick, he was called a system quarterback. He won 6 Super Bowls. 6 Super Bowls with game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. So
I think when you make the game-winning drive in the fourth quarter with very little time left, you're not a system quarterback.
But that's what Brady got called consistently, and until he left New England, it then opened the discussion: is it Brady or Belichick? And we can get an answer. Now it clearly looks it was more Brady than Belichick.
Yeah.
We could see that now, and it's unfortunate for people that we can't see what Brock Purdy would be like without a Deebo Samuel. We're seeing Mahomes without Tyreek Hill. The offense is nowhere near as dominant. It's still winning games because they have Travis Kelce, because they have Patrick Mahomes, because they have Andy Reid.
So obviously you don't think that Dak Prescott is
You mean Brock Purdy?
I'm sorry, Brock Purdy is the number 1 pick for the MVP. You think Dak Prescott will get it?
I think that because we are seeing Dak Prescott flip a narrative. Entirely flip a narrative. 12 games, led the league in interceptions. We saw him in training camp. He had 9 picks in 5 days. It was horrible. And we expect him to come in and be throwing turnover. He's toned down the turnovers. Mike McCarthy has coached this offense incredibly well. We were wondering whether or not they could beat good teams. Now they have. They beat the number 1 team in the NFL and beat them convincingly. And like Dak Prescott said, he didn't play particularly great. He did have 270 yards and a couple touchdowns, but he said, and I kind of agree with that, if he was like 350, a few more touchdowns, they could have put 50 on him. For me, it's right now, it's Dak Prescott. I think the bettors got it right.
Dak has some pretty good weapons on offense, too. CeeDee
Right?
Lamb.
Who was, I think, 69th in yards after the catch, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. Yeah. The Cowboys are not
How about depth
team.
of target? How's Dak look on that stat?
Well, you need the specific receiver for that.
Oh, yeah? Well, how about CeeDee Lamb?
So,
Lamb
CeeDee
is kind of
Lamb-
a deep ball threat.
I'll try to bring that up quickly. Here's the thing. I do not think that yards after the catch. Let's see. Yards after the catch. I am mistaken. Sorry, he's sixth in yards after the catch.
Oh.
Yards after the catch per reception. So Debo would be second in that category. Or this is saying my mistake. He's first in that category. Debo Samuel's first in yards after the catch per reception. CeeDee Lamb is 34th. So this is not a team that can catch it at the 3 and take you 14 yards down the field. That's not something that the Cowboys do. Average depth of target, shockingly, you're going to be shocked by this. Devontae Parker is number 1 in that category.
Huh.
CeeDee Lamb doesn't even break the top 50.
Huh.
He is
That doesn't speak so highly for Dak.
He's number 64. That's what he's number 64.
Dak is not a dink and dunk, you don't think? Huh?
Not a dink and dunker. And by the way, average depth of target is 10 yards.
Let's remember who won the playoff game last year. The
Right?
Cowboys, San Francisco. Right?
Yeah, we could also acknowledge
the mistakes
Hold on.
that Dak Prescott made to cost them the game, and Brock Purdy didn't make those mistakes.
But we're gonna be straight up here. Purdy did not play well. The team scored 19 points. If Dak Prescott,
Dallas has a great defense.
that's what I'm saying. The Cowboys defense did its job. Dak Prescott did not do his
he
job.
did. That's right.
It wasn't Mike McCarthy's game calling. It was Dak Prescott throwing 2 horrible interceptions.
Let me ask you: do you think that it's come down to Purdy against Prescott for the MVP, or is it possible that another player could get into the race here? I mean, it looks like Lamar he's pretty far behind, plus 600.
I think Lamar is a little bit underrated, at least in the MVP conversation. I do like Lamar. I think it could be interesting late in the season if he keeps winning games, especially without Mark Andrews. His team is always banged up, especially late. This won't mean anything. This is just a quick little tidbit about the Ravens. They got Malik Cunningham, your guy.
I'm disappointed.
By the way,
I'm very disappointed.
That's the 4th quarterback on their team.
Yeah, you told me that he played at Louisville.
I don't know.
No. Another person told me this.
Lamar Jackson
played at Louisville. So did Malik Cunningham. They both played at Louisville.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
That's interesting.
Louisville teammates are back. I don't know if they're teammates, but so for me right now, I think the odds makers have it correct. I think it is Dak Prescott. I would like to see more love for CMC and for Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill at least is getting raised a little bit. He's above his own quarterback, which I agree with. The offense yesterday did not look the same.
He's not in the top 5.
Correct. He's not in the top 5.
It's all quarterbacks.
It is. But Tyreek Hill is plus 1,800 according to FanDuel. That's the highest non-quarterback out there. I think CMC is plus 2,600. I don't have the number in front of me, but it's pretty high. It's most likely not the case.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see who gets it.
Oh, I'll also say this just there. CMC has nearly he's 250 yards above the next running back. 250 rush yards above the next running back. I mean,
he's having a great season.
He can't be stopped. He has more than 1 touchdown per game.
It'll be a big disappointment
for
for San Francisco if they don't win the Super Bowl this year.
It's going to be terrible. If they somehow don't if they don't even make it to the Super Bowl, let alone if they don't win it. Because I think the way the AFC is, Joe Burrow's gone, Josh Allen, the Bills can't win games. Mahomes in the offense doesn't look as dominant. I mean, the Dolphins can't beat good teams. They can't even beat Will Levis. They choked against Will Levis.
The Ravens are in the AFC.
The Ravens can't hold a 4th quarter league. They're notorious for giving those up. Jacksonville, they're not good. And Trevor Lawrence, he tried to play last week. 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. He looked horrible. The AFC, we thought they'd be the stronger conference. Right now, in my mind, I don't think it's close.
No?
The NFC looks so much stronger. Dallas, Philly, Detroit, if things are right. If things are right. And then the 49ers, the Rams look good right now.
I don't think the Rams
The
are
Rams
one of the
look
top
good
teams.
right now.
I think the Rams have a chance to sneak into the playoffs, though.
I do as well, especially with Minnesota.
Yeah, a couple
going
of games
to fall.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think the odds makers have it right, and I just think
What happened to Joshua Dobbs? They benched him, huh?
The Pastronaut came back down to earth.
I mean, they got Justin Jefferson back out there on the field. You would have thought that would have helped him.
Well, he got injured pretty early in the game, so chest injury. I truthfully, I'm gonna be honest, don't love it. I don't love the MVP odds. More credit to the players, please. I know there's the Offensive Player of the Year. More credit to skill position players, please. The most valuable player. We just saw the Dolphins' offense without Tyreek Hill. It didn't look anywhere near the same. Tua had very difficult time pushing the ball down the field.
Yeah, well, generally a quarterback's going to win the MVP.
It's just unfortunate.
Handle the ball on every play.
Unless you're the 49ers, you hand the ball off and he takes it 76 yards. And then also, for my fantasy team, I need like 1 point to win. They brought in the other running back to score the touchdown after CMC rushed it 76 yards. Let him go 2 yards for the touchdown. Give me something, please.
Sorry.
I lost this week because of that, too.
Sorry.
Also, because I picked up Ezekiel Elliott off in free agency, forgot to start him. I had Jalen Warren and Steelers running back.
Well, Zeke had a better game than Warren.
Zeke had 23.5 points this past. He had 100. Did he have like 140 scrimmage yards, something like that?
Oh, wow.
We saw the old Zeke against the Steelers.
Yeah.
I was impressed. But it comes down to that time every single week when we pick the Thursday night football game. This one is the battle of the backups. Easton Stick will now be the starter of the Los Angeles Chargers after Justin Herbert got placed on season-ending IR with a broken index finger, I believe. Aiden O'Connell has been in there for a few weeks after Jimmy G got benched as soon as Antonio Pierce became the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. He's been playing okay, not great. Rookie quarterbacks make mistakes, and Aiden O'Connell's made a fair share of them. So the question is, can the Chargers keep their playoff hopes alive against the Raiders? I'm going no. I say the Raiders are going to win this game. They're favored by 3 points. I'm going to say they win this game. I believe I have it up. They win 17-10. Now, I'm going to give a little preface here. I don't have your score. I forgot to put it in. So you can just say your score. Yeah.
Where does Easton Stick come from now? That's a name you don't normally hear. It's one I can always remember. Easton Stick.
Right.
But where did he come from?
He went to North Dakota State.
Is he a rookie?
He was born in Omaha, Nebraska.
Is he a rookie this year?
No, he's 28 years old. He's not a rookie.
Oh.
He's been
Where's
around
he
the
been? Has he been
Not
on a
good.
team? Has he been on a team?
He got drafted in 2019 in the 5th round. He went to Creighton Prep in Nebraska. That was his high school.
I see. Wow. Interesting name, that's for sure. Has he ever thrown a pass in the NFL? Is this his first?
Yeah. He's thrown a few passes. So
has he always been with the Chargers?
Yeah. So he's 14 of 25 attempts to completions. He's 56%, 183 yards, no touchdowns, no picks in his career.
I don't think Easton Stick's going to get his first win this week. I'm picking the Raiders.
And the score?
24-20.
Here's the interesting thing about this. If the Raiders win, they jump the Chargers. And if the Raiders win, do you think Staley gets fired, or do you think the Chargers let him ride it out the rest of the year?
I think they're going to let him ride it out the rest of the year, but I do think he gets fired.
I think there shouldn't be any question Brandon Staley will not be employed by the Los Angeles Chargers next season.
I mean, they picked the Chargers to be right up there this year, and look, they played horrible.
I said they can compete against the Chiefs to beat to win the AFC West. I was very far off from that, although I also did say that the Broncos would slide again. I was wrong, but you know what? I'm wrong a lot. I'm wrong enough. So
well, it's a tough to be right all the time in the NFL. Lots of unexpected things happen. There's a lot more parity. There's a lot of parity now. Look at all the teams that have less than 500 record that still have a playoff chance, right? There's a lot of 6 and 7 teams. There's a lot of 6 and 7 teams.
Well, the majority of them come from the NFC South, where 3 out of the 4 of them are 6 and 7.
Yeah. Now, they all have a chance to win the division.
Tampa currently is leading it. Tampa is the 4th seed in the. Baker Mayfield has done it so far. He's
Yeah.
by the way,
But
what a win
I
over
remember
the.
Baker Mayfield was never going to start in the NFL again, right?
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I'll accept that. He's played good.
Yeah, I think so.
He's played good.
Yeah.
I think that does wrap it up. I do want to talk about this though. This is not one of our topics that we normally do. I do want to mention this though because I mentioned it on Friday's show that we could have breaking news. It broke I think Saturday. Shohei Ohtani signed a 10-year, $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So he goes from the Angels, the Los Angeles Angels, to the Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers. Not a far move whatsoever. But I will say this though, there's some interesting things about his contract. So the contract essentially, because he's 29 years old now, by the end of it he'll be 39. The Dodgers basically signed him for 10 years, $20 million, because it has been deferred to the end of the 10 years to be paid out $68 million a year for 10 years after the first 10 years of his contract.
That's wild.
I
I've never
can't
heard
believe he
anything
signed
like
that contract.
I know. That's odd.
Although,
I mean,
it's
$2 million.
smart.
He signed for $2 million a year.
Signed for $2 million a year, basically, because I guarantee you won't be playing at age 40. Most
and
people
what's
don't.
the value today of $68 million 10 years from now? A year. It's much less than $68 million. I'll do the math on it. I'll get the finance book out, do the present value of that annuity of $68 million for 10 years, starting in 10 years. It's the discount factor there with interest rates up where they are right now is going to be pretty high. That contract's present value is probably, under Mookie Betts's, I bet,
Well, Mookie Betts has signed a pretty big contract. It's one of the biggest. And then he actually surpasses his former teammate Mike Trout for the biggest contract. I think Mike Trout signed like a $400 million contract.
Next Harvey Hour, we'll have the math on
what
we think
that
contract's worth.
We'll open with that.
It's hard to know what interest rates are going to be 10 years from now, but if you use today's interest rates, the Dodgers don't have to invest all that much money to have the money to pay him out from 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting contract, and I'm surprised his agent let him sign something like that.
I would say it's smart because that allows them a little bit of flexibility.
A $700 million contract, right? But it's really $20 million for the time he plays.
Unless he plays in his 40s. But then, 10 years, he's 29 now. He'll be 39 at the end of that.
I doubt he's going to be pitching when he's 39.
They basically signed him.
Can't pitch next year, right?
10 years, 20. Yeah, he's not pitching next year. He's not pitching next year. He'll probably pitch in a couple years.
He's going to be the DH? Is that what they're going to do?
Yeah, my guess is probably. He's going to hit. He's going to be probably... You have what? Didn't he Tommy John surgery? Something like he had a
he had an elbow issue.
Okay,
I don't know what kind of it wasn't Tommy John.
So I'm not. I mean, the reason why I asked that is because I don't know if he'll be hitting 40 home runs this season, but it's Shohei Ohtani. The guy's been like the best player in baseball since he came into the league.
You know what? He's going to be pretty protected too if he bats leadoff or number 3 or so. They've got good hitters behind him.
I think Mookie Betts may lead off.
Mookie Betts will lead off probably. He'll probably be number 3, right? And then Freddie Freeman will be behind him.
Yeah.
So he's going to get some pitches to hit for sure. He's going to have more pitches to hit for sure than he did in playing for the Angels, right?
I'm just happy I'll say probably because I have no idea if this is true or not. We're gonna see Shohei Ohtani on the big stage, the playoffs. I don't think we've ever seen Shohei Ohtani in playoff baseball before.
No. Well, Mike Trout's only been there 1 year.
That's been like a decade ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
So I'm very excited. I'm not a Dodgers fan. However, I will be very, very excited to see Shohei Ohtani in playoff baseball. I'll be absolutely thrilled. But the fact that in reality, the Dodgers are screwed in the long term, although you're talking about interest rates, and who knows what the cap will be or what the value of the Dodgers will be in 10 years from now. But essentially, in the win now mode, the Dodgers have Shohei Ohtani, who's the best player in baseball, for 10 years, $20 million.
It's amazing.
That is unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. No player has ever really, I don't think he's ever done that before at his caliber.
How much money did he make playing for the Angels? That contract.
It could have been all.
It was a pretty good-sized contract.
He
must feel like he doesn't need that money much. I mean, generally, when you're young, you probably like to have $68 million a year.
Well, plus he's staying in LA, so endorsements and all these things that Shohei's going to be involved in. He's gonna be making money, just not directly from the Dodgers. I'll bring up how much he made last year. Let's see, because I am genuinely curious. So last season he made $30 million, but even before then though, if you combine all of his years from 2018 when he first came in the league to 2022, he made only about $9.1 million
a year
until 2023, where he made 30.
Okay, so
he's
not loaded with money. Well, I don't know. He probably got some endorsements, right?
Loaded with money. The guy's made $39 million in his career, or at least that's how much he got paid in salary. LA tax will kill you probably.
No, he only made $9 million between 18 and 22.
Last season he made 30. So it's about 39, because there's also 10,000. It's like 39.
So the Angels got one hell of a deal. They got one hell of a deal on him. He probably got a lot of endorsement money.
You didn't need to trade for him, so you're not giving up anything. You're not giving up prospects, picks. You're not giving up players.
He probably thinking, if I play well, $2 million a year, that's my lunch money. I'm going to be making. I'm going to be making big bucks in the endorsements.
Oh, we're going to see him in a couple.
In
commercials.
LA. I mean, that's a place to be, right?
Yeah,
it's a big movie town.
Well, especially going from the Dodgers too. The Dodgers are a bigger market than the Angels are. The Angels, they've had a very. I mean, think about it. Every time you hear about the Angels, it's Mike Trout has done something no one's ever done in a very, very long time. Shohei Ohtani's not doing stuff since Babe Ruth. They lose like 8-3. Like, it was just so unfortunate. The Dodgers, on the other hand, make it to the playoffs over and over and over and over again. Now, they choked last season, this prior season. But I think you have Shohei on that team hitting like 35, 40 homers. You got Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, two of those players who were going for MVPs.
They got good pitchers, too.
Got good pitching.
They should win it.
My question is, who is going to beat them? I'm just saying this right now. I don't expect it, but we saw what happened to the Padres last season. They got Soto, Bogarts, Machado, Tatis. They were not good.
No.
They were not good.
Bogarts had a poor year. Soto didn't have
Soto had
a
bad year as well. Tatis
now the Yankees have got
years.
Soto now for 1 year.
Yeah.
This is his contract year, so he's going to be playing.
You would think.
Yeah, he's going to be tough in Fenway Park, man. I can see him hitting that green monster repeatedly.
I don't know. He had a down year last year. Maybe that's a trend.
I think he's going to have a big year in 24. He's going to be looking for that big contract.
The lights were bright.
And here's another thing.
Yeah.
He'll get a lot of good pitches to hit, too, because he'll probably be hitting the head of Aaron Judge, right?
Don't want to have those two players on.
Yeah.
So, if I'm not mistaken,
Rizzo still going to be with the Yankees next year?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I haven't done a deep dive yet, but I do want to say this, though. The Oakland A's, this was a little while ago. The Oakland Rays are moving. They did get clearance to move.
Where are they going?
Las Vegas is getting an MLB team. Las Vegas is getting an MLB team. They will open up a new ballpark in 2028. So we have a good 5 years before we get to see will they still be called the Athletics?
I would think
probably.
So. Yeah.
The Las Vegas Athletics.
It doesn't ring very
doesn't
well.
ring a bell.
Oakland Athletics sounds right to me.
Because it's basically it's like boom, it's punchy. Las Vegas Athletics it doesn't have that same ring. Also, Las Vegas Raiders, that kind of is a nice name.
I like
the Athletics.
I like the Oakland Raiders.
Oakland Raiders.
See, they're losing they lost their football team and now they're losing their
Well, think about this.
Baseball
if the
team.
Padres ever move, San Diego's got nothing left.
That's right.
Oh, also Oakland again. Oakland lost the A's, they lost the Raiders, and they lost the Warriors. The Warriors now play in, I think, Sacramento. So yeah,
Sacramento Kings.
No, they play their stadium.
The stadium is in Sacramento.
They don't play in Oakland anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, San Francisco. Sorry, not Sacramento. San Francisco.
San Francisco.
They play San Francisco.
Makes more
right.
sense, yeah.
They don't play in Oakland. Oakland's got nothing left.
Huh.
San Diego's got the Padres. That's basically it. So, I don't know. St. Louis has got nothing. Seattle's
they have
got
the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a pretty big name in baseball, man.
When the last year Albert Pujols was there was massive. Last season, a little bit underwhelming. Seattle lost the Sonics back in 2008, 2009. They got the Kraken now, NHL. Las Vegas got the Golden Knights in hockey. Teams are moving to Las Vegas. Big
Yeah.
market there. I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, do they have an NBA team? Vegas doesn't have an NBA team.
They have a WNBA team, the Las Vegas Aces,
Okay.
if I'm not
I
mistaken.
bet they wind up with an NBA team.
I think I might be wrong. I think LeBron is trying to do an expansion team. He's trying to buy a team or make a team for Las Vegas. I mean, he's 2 years out of retiring anyway, so I'm sure we'll get an expansion there. What other sports? Any big cities that lost teams?
Well, the Cardinals moved from the Arizona Cardinals moved from St. Louis.
Well,
right?
St. Louis Cardinals for 2 sports. A little bit confusing. Same thing. I think the Yankees were called the New York Giants at some point. I could be wrong at that. There was a Giants team that was the same.
No, there was the Brooklyn Dodgers moved to L.A.
Right.
The
Baltimore
the New York
Colts.
Giants moved to San Francisco.
That's
the San Francisco
That's
Giants.
what I mean. Yeah,
right?
yeah. You had the baseball and football team, the same name.
Yeah.
Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis. Teams move.
Yeah, they do.
I'm excited. Maybe we get some international teams, and the NFL is probably, I guess, the closest to do that. They've been to Germany, Mexico City, England. I don't know. It's sports is a growing industry there, and then worldwide, NFL is probably the closest to have a worldwide team. Scheduling is going to be weird though. Scheduling might be weird if you're in the same division as them. Maybe if they add England, Germany, and have different, maybe a Frankfurt team, a Munich team, have them in the same division, something like that. But
That would be interesting.
You can't put like the
NFL
Bengals,
thinking they might do that? I mean, they have these games. They have 3
They keep
games
going to
now.
Germany. They keep going to England. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, they like having games at all hours, all days now. I mean, if they have the international, then they have every Sunday morning, every Thursday morning, every Saturday morning,
I'm
Sunday
fine with
morning.
that. I'm fine with that.
There can be a game, right?
I'm
Monday
fine with
morning. I don't know.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think we're close. I'd say give it 5 years. I think talks are going to ramp up because now we've been to Munich. I think we've been to
Do you
Berlin.
think they went to a 17-game schedule in the NFL because they thought, well, we got to have 6 teams during the year play overseas, and that costs them a home game, right? They think, hey, you know what? We added a game. You still get 8-8 at home. You have to go over every 4 years or so. You got to go over to Europe to play a game.
I think it could be that, and it also could be the NFL is now the highest grossing sport in the United States. So that's just add an extra game. That's more ad revenue. That's more watch time. That's more viewership. More games, longer during the season. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm completely all for it.
Good.
All right, so I think that will wrap up today's episode of the Harvey Hour. Very, very good show today. Sorry for the awkward beginning. That'll be edited in post, so the podcast won't actually be able to hear that. Although if you want to hear the screw up, you can go to youtube.com/@the Harvey Hour. If you missed any part of today's show, you can go over to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcast. About an hour after that this live stream closes, you can go listen to any part that you missed over there. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Good night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.